Hi, Gertrude Ngamba. Ndeipi. Okay. Patricia Mugano, how are you? Sokuhle. Ngwenya, ndeipi. How are you, Sokuhle? Okay, let me just pin the number. We are going to be here briefly chaiyo. Kungombo yeuchidzana 7748330801. Okay, let me try and pin the number. Where are you, number? Oh my God. What am I doing? Okay. I'll pin the number. Kesina, how are you? Tanatsko Makumbe, how are you? Rumbidzai Kapenzi, ndeipi. Murisei. How are you, ladies and gentlemen? Chihera Peti, how are you? Liali Banda, ndeipi. Makadi, my diaries. Makadi. I'm not going to be here for long. I know it has been a very long time, but Mazwana, I'm physically exhausted. Patience parwa uya. How are you? Murisei. Amai Davis. Murisei. Mimi. How are you? How are you guys? Viking Lovunde Yipi. We are surviving. That is nice to hear. Wendy Chikwana. How are you? Ivan Mary Masango. How are you? PY. Ndeipi. The guy ndise maoko. Makadi ko diaries. Makadi. It's quite been a long time. Messi Maskwani say, how are you? Juliet Ngandunde. Oh, thank you so much for the love and likes. Thank you. Alice Baketi. How are you? Judith Judy. How are you? Cherry Liwachi Odum, how are you? Tantakusuwai antiselina kana nemini ndakusuwai wedwe. Ndakusuwai Anna ndeipi. Aluwadi chidodo, how are you? Antiselina potai muchititengera. Potai muchititengera chi? Antiselina, how are you? Noxy, how are you? You are glowing, Antiselina. Thank you. My Davis, murukuya kubole, munyatso ndiona live. Kuonana live ndoko kanaka than kuonana vachivhitivhiti. Because chivhitivhiti chinonyepa kai. Cynthia, how are you? Dadirai, how are you? Mubena, how are you? Eddie, how are you? Winnie, how are you? Poshia, makadiko, ndiri right, just tired. That is why I've got 2 reasons why I'm off social media. Kuya kuzoita anything chiri meaningful. I've got 2 reasons. Before I get into our program. I've got 2 reasons. I'm physically tired, Mazwano. And also, when it is what it is, I tend to withdraw and watch what is happening from a distance. I just can't seem to come and present myself when there's a lot of barking going around. That is me. That is the second reason why I've withdrawn doing anything. But this morning I just thought I would come and address something. Today I want to talk to people. The name is Auntie Selina. I am your host, your presenter, and your facilitator per diaries. Nasi is a Friday. I think it's the 14th, if I'm not mistaken. The 14th of the 5th in the year 2023. Nasi ndatindi mboya ndizotaura nechinhu chinonzi marriage. I particularly want to speak to people that are intending to go into a marriage, or people that are already in a marriage. Cynthia Mukwenya, how are you? Skozile, how are you? I want to speak to people that are intending to go into a marriage, or people that are already in a marriage. Ngatitererei, ngatitereresanei uye ngatidzidzisanei. Thank you, Aluwati. Thank you so much. Ndira kuti vari kupinda muwanano, whether it be murume kana mukadzi, we tend to think when we are talking about a marriage, we are talking about women only. No. A marriage is a union between two people, a man and a woman. That's a marriage. So we are not talking about women only. What I am going to say applies both ways to a man and a woman. I see so many people when they are coming per live, when they say murume wangu, most of the people turned out to be vanhu vari kubika mapoto. And you can easily tell kuti two women can claim kuti murume wangu, more claim kuti murume wangu, because our culture has taught us once wakugara ne murume mumba murume wako. But most of it is vanhu vari kubika mapoto. They are cooking pots. So many people are cooking pots. And if they've stayed for 12 years together, they think they are in a marriage. You are not in a marriage because your union has not been solemnized. So you are not in a marriage. Murkubika mapoto. A marriage is a union between two people. Gertrude, how are you? And it ought to be solemnized for it to be called a marriage. Yeah, you can call it a live-in boyfriend. Remember, I said it's a union between two people, which is a man and a woman. Kwandiri nini, it's a man and a woman. But unless if you want to say it another way, it's still okay. When two people enter into a marriage, there is a constitution within a marriage that so many people that are in a marriage don't know. Vazhinji vari muwanano yekuroorwa havazive kuti marriage in a constitution yainayo. Just like every country has a constitution. Just like every company that is formed has constitution yainofanirwa kuita adhere to, so that company iyoyo kana kuti nyika inofunctiona zvingazotsaudzirwe zvayo, but constitution inenge iripo, inozotadza kushanda zvayo. Marriage in a constitution, and people that are entering into a marriage that are already in a marriage, they don't know marriage in a constitution. Remember, I said it is a union between two people. And if it's a union between two people, remember, a man arikubva kumba kwa amai vake kwaane rules and regulations ne environment yaakakura nayo, iwo uri kubva kwako kune zvako, and two people are being united to become one. Remember, I said two people. Can you see maoko angu zvaakaita? Which means there is one there, there is one there. They are being united, which means coming together to form, to be one. Anditi, ndadai o, va one. Two people becoming one. Anditi. But in becoming one, you can see, kuti, when there are two people, this finger of mine, ineka slimness kainako, and this finger of mine ineka slimness kainako, anditi, which means uye ane zake, ane ka slimness kake, ane ma faults ake, ane ma zvaanofunga, ane zvaanoita, pamwe zvausingatozive ne uyu futi, but they come together to become one. Anditi waona, ka slimness kayake one, ka different when they have been united together. Ka chizvigurumwe zvangu zvafutirira, but ndikazvimeja together kudai o zva one. That is a marriage. I just want to share with you today, before you enter into a marriage, ukango enter into a marriage uchileka self-love iwewe. Wadra. Once you enter into a marriage for the sake of entering into a marriage, for the sake of being called Mrs., for the sake of being seen, kuti wakarorwa, for the sake of your people from your village saying kuti mwana wakwa Ngwerume, my surname from birth is Ngwerume, mwana wakwa Ngwerume akarorwa. If you enter into a marriage, nezvandataura izvi, uri pamahwani vakomana, uri pamahwani. So for one to enter into a marriage, especially for those that have already entered into a marriage, you ought to have the love for yourself, whether you are man or woman. Because why I say you ought to have love for yourself, you find that if you love yourself enough, you will be able to share the love that you have with another. But so many a time, we are seeing people entering into a marriage, into marriages when they haven't even got love for themselves. The constitution that I'm going to talk about, you will see why I say you need to love yourself first before you can love someone. Can I enter into a marriage with love? With love, you are able to adhere to the constitution that I want to share with you. Number one, when you enter into a marriage, when you have got self-love, you are able to love another. Because how can you love another without the love yourself? Can ustorina love yako iwewe pachako? How are you able to love another? How? Because you can only give love to another from a well that is loving. But if your well, which is the physical, and your spirit as well, hasn't got love for Selena, how can I love another? That's not possible. That is not possible. So number one, love. You ought to love yourself in order to be able to love another. And when you love yourself to love another, number two, you are able to submit. If you have got love, you are able to submit to the other in your marriage. Yeah, Vicky, you can't fill an empty pot. If a pot is empty, as Vicky is saying, you can't fill another pot from an empty pot. So I said number two. Number one, I said love. Number two, if you have got love, because you have got love in the union that you have gotten, you are able to submit. Kana uine rudo pauri wewe uchizodao mwe munu, you are able to submit to that person. Woman submitting to men and men submitting to woman, both ways. You are able to submit because you have got the love for the person. You are able to submit. So we said number one, love. Number two, submit. Number three, it's easy to respect someone that you have submitted to because of the love that you have got. I'm going to be moving forward with the constitution and also will show you we can move it backwards. I said number three is respect, because you've got the respect for that person because you submitted to them. Respect is easy. So You need love. You need submission, and it will be easy to respect someone because you have already submitted to them because of the love that you have got. Number 4, patience is very easy when you have done the 3 that I've mentioned. Patience is easy. Being patient with that someone that you respect and would have submitted to because of the love that you have got. Easy. Patience. It's not all of us that are patient. But if you have got the 3 and have applied them within your marriage, it is easy to be patient with a person. Because remember, I said, sangana uye achibva neupbringing yake, uye achibva neupbringing yake. To sangana tiri vaviri, tine ma weaknesses nema strengths edu. And exercising patience with your other half is of paramount importance. Kuti marriage yenyu ishande. That is the 4th. Number 5. Because you have loved your other and you were able to submit because of the love that you have got to your other, it was easy to respect him because of the submission that you gave them because of the love that you have got for them. It will be easy also to be patient because of the respect that you have got when you submitted to them because you loved them. Therefore, compromise is easy. What is the compromise that I'm talking about? Sorry, ndrukuwanza chirungu. Ndrukuwanza chirungu. I better explain myself in some topics when I'm conversing in English. Sorry about that. I sincerely hope you can always go back to the program and listen to it. Okay. We are on number 5, compromise. You can only compromise because you have got the patience to tolerate your other. And you have got the respect for your other. And you submitted to them because you loved them. Therefore, you are all able to compromise with their weaknesses. Compromise kunzwira na ma-faults, especially ma-faults emungo hai nawo auya nawo. You compromise some things in your marriage. Even if you don't like it, what they are doing, you lower yourself. I remember we once did a program whereby a caller akauya achikola achiti murume wangu mu anobva kuMalawi akadescribe ndikutaura zvaakataura akadescribe kuti vaMalawi vanoda kugara vakangoungana sembeva. That is exactly what she said. Vanoda kugara vakaungana sembeva and vanopinda chechi yechichawa ina handizvigone saka zvinondinetsa nekuti inini akandiona ndichipfeka madresses ari very short saka akuda kuti ndipfeke madress akareba. Munowaziva vanhu vanopinda chechi yechichawa, no disrespect. You ought to dress in a certain, thank you Vicky, you ought to dress in a certain way. And she went on and on and on and on. And as I was listening, you remember it, Kesina, and I was listening to her, I was like, this is a one-way traffic. She can't even compromise a single thing. She said akamanija kumubvisa muningirikini mu state yekugara vachita unge mbeva vakatsvaga kwavo kwavaigara ende murume akatsamwa nazvo ende akumuda futi kuti acompromise kuti address decently. I said to that lady, if you remember, I can't see where you have compromised, but you want your other half murume wako to compromise. Auntie Lucinda, how are you? Hapana kana one power compromiser. Zvese zvako ndo zvauri kuti zviitwe iwewe. A marriage doesn't work like that. We need. Maizi waka Christina, we need to compromise. The last one is communication. Because you have got the love, you submitted to your other half. And because you submitted, respecting your other half was much easier because of the submission that you did. You will be able to exercise your patience because of the respect, the submission, and the love that you've got. Ndodo, hi, how are you? And you will be able to compromise because of the patience that you have got in understanding the other person's faults. Once you have got all the above, the love, the submission, the respect, the patience, the compromise, communication is very easy. Communicate nemunu, once you have got the above that I've said, I know Vicky had listed them. It's very easy. But if you lack love, if you lack submission, if you lack respect, if you lack patience, if you lack compromise, there is no way that you can communicate. There is no way that you can communicate within your marriage. You know what, Garairi? Whoa. Because your marriage lacks the 6 things that I listed as a constitution in marriage. So number 1 is love. Number 2, I said you need submission. Number 3, you need respect. Number 4, you need patience. Number 5, you need compromise. And number 6, you need communication. If you apply these 6 in your marriage, I can guarantee you it will work. Blessing, how are you? It will work, provided your foundation of marriage was started with you loving yourself. We once did a program on loving yourself. Loving yourself. Loving yourself. Do not look into entering into a relationship when you don't have love for yourself. Because as one commentator said, you can't pour from an empty vessel into another vessel. I want to do a demonstration. Allow me to do this. Let's do some practicals. I think we're going to be doing some practicals when we nyanza my next door neighbor zangu white men in Indian lady vanogara vane noise. I think tikapota tichita practical, some of us, especially me, I understand when practicals are being done. Can you see this glass? That's an empty glass. It's an empty glass. And can you see this glass? Sasha, I have very low esteem. How do I work on it? Come, let's talk. We have Sasha. We can talk. Can you see this? That's an empty glass as well. I've got 2 empty glasses. And I've got 2 empty glasses. I want to pour what is in this glass into that glass. Remember, there is nothing in these glasses. Am I able to pour anything from an empty glass into another glass. Am I able to do that? Ngatitaurirani senior bachelor, thank you so much. Love, respect, patience, compromise. Love, submit, wasia submission. Senior, love, then submission, then respect, then patience, then compromise and communication. Until Lucinda is saying starting with daily affirmations can start. Okay, I'm just doing a practical illustration here. A practical illustration. I said this is an empty glass, and that's an empty glass. Antiti. Rega chingoti uyu murume uyu mukadzi. Antiti. Can murume pour into mukadzi when he is empty? No. Let's go back to the same level. Can mukadzi pour into murume when she's empty? No. But let's do another illustration to show what I'm talking about when I say you need love for yourself in order to love another. You need the love that you have got so that you can pour it into another. Let's do the second illustration. Okay, can you see the glass? It has got some water in it. It has got some water in it. I have partly filled the water, if you noticed. I have partly filled the water. Because in this glass, why I have partly filled the water is, tine tuni, twedu tuma tendencies, twedu tikatuisa imomo, to action, tukwatinongoita, tikatuisa imomo, to upbringing, tukwataka kuratina, tukoisa imomo anditi. Toti munhu uyu. Within you self-loving, pane tumwe tunu tunenge turimo mukati mako, but you have got self-love for each other. So we have got some liquid in this, and let's replace the liquid with love for yourself. This is you. The liquid is you. You love yourself. If you take another glass, you are able to pour the liquid that is from that glass to another glass. Let me match this. You are able to pour and it. Because that the water represents love for yourself. You are able to pour it into another glass. And you can see that I'm pouring into another glass. And initially we started with no liquid. So I'm saying, if you don't have love for yourself, how are you able to pour some love into someone else that you love when you haven't got love for yourself? It's not possible. Because you haven't got the love to pour to someone, you are not able to submit to them. You are not able, you are not able to love. You are not able to love them. Of which that is what we are currently seeing in so many marriages today. You are not able to submit because you lack the love. You know, it said love covers a multitude of things. So one multitude that you are not able to do is submit. Another multitude that you are not able to do is respect, because you lack the love. Another multitude that you are not able to do is being patient, because you lack the love. Another multitude that you are not able to do is compromising, because you lack the love. Another multitude that you are not able to do is communicate because you lack the love. So once you love, you are able to pour your love, and you are able to do all the other 5 marriage constitution. You are able to follow them through. But once it's an empty glass, without any liquid, without any love liquid in it, you can't pour it in another. No kuti kana zvakadaro urungopinda marriage for the sake of getting into a marriage. And uniting with someone that you are not able to submit to, that you are not able to respect, that you are not able to be patient with, that you are not able to compromise with, that you are not able to communicate with, our common, it's a recipe for disaster. So this morning I just thought I would speak to both men and women. Before, especially those that are thinking of getting into a marriage. Thank you, Vicky. You ought to rethink and seriously rethink. Do you love yourself? Let's start from there. Do you love yourself? Because know that if you give your answer as no, Paula, how are you? Part on a problem already. So we need to work on our love for self before we enter into a union to love someone. Do you know so many of these vows that we are doing in sickness and in health? Do you know it has become a joke? I personally take my vows very seriously. I've told myself, when I do my vows in sickness and in health, I mean what I'll be saying. I'm in my second marriage. I think so many of you know that. My first marriage, I kept my vow. Till death do us part. And because I know myself, I know the love that I have for myself. Ini ndinozvida handidi kukunyeperai. Ndinozvibiga kana. Inini. When it comes to love, ndinozvitemba. And even in my second marriage, pamberi pe 169 that are there, I can safely say and vouch for you. And those that know what is currently going on in my life, those that know, I can 100% guarantee you, for me, my vows mean a lot. For me, it's till death do us part. I know there are so many people, like I've already seen 2 people that are struggling with loving themselves. Work on yourself. Work on self-love for yourself before you start wanting to entertain chinonzi marriage. If you don't have self-love, especially kuvanhu vevakadzi, zviri dangerous ukapinda marriage usina self-love, because ukashaya self-love, you don't know where to cut off. Respect ne disrespect, auchaizive where to cut off. You don't know how to get out of an abusive relationship because you lack that love for yourself. Do you know kuti isusu vanhu vevakadzi I always say, us as women, we are emotional beings. We tend to act on our emotions. Sterek. And because creation yedu isusu sevanhu vevakadzi tiri vanhu vakabva pambabvu yevarume, whether you like it or not, takabva pambabvu yevarume. And vaya vanoti vanoita bhaibheri. I think rinokudzai kuti murume is the head of the house. Yes, he is the head of the house. But your marriage will be much easier. Uka apply the constitution. Yandataura. What is self-love? I've done a program on self-love. You might want to go back. For those that know it, I've done a program on self-love. You might want to go back and try and find that program, your self-love. If you go back to my previous lives that I've done, you might want to go back. Ukangopinda marriage une ka visible weakness kawinako kekutoti hauzvishowe rudo. Aiwa unofambwa newe, murume anofamba newe achiyuza that weakness against you. Hey, nina umbondide kana kundida mukumubvunzo ndekuti iwewe unozvida here, uda kutsvaga kudiwa nemurume. Hautombondida kana hautomboshowe kuti unondida. Do you know that if you show a man kuti you love yourself, vanozvipika futi. They pick it. But because tichikupinda mu marriage, tichitsvaga kudiwa tisina rudo for ourselves, men are using that against us, unfortunately. Unfortunately. Zvakafanana neku sorry. Zvakafanana nekuda kunoticha mumwe munhu, kunoticha mumwe munhu metsi. Iyo metsi dzacho usinga when you can even show kuti autodzigone metsi dzacho wakuda kunoticha mumwe munhu. Ukapinda marriage washowa munhu wauri kupinda marriage naye kuti unozvida, hakuderere. Gloria, how are you? Saka, unfortunately, Buhera Diaries, how are you? Unfortunately, we are entering into marriages when we are lacking a lot, especially us as women. And that is being used against us. And because we lack the self-love, we don't know where to cut off. We are disrespected so much, and yet we stay in the marriage. We are abused so much. Vice versa, even men, they are being abused by women. It goes both ways. And you don't know where to cut off. Enter into a marriage without self-love. Uno abuse go big time. And you can't even say no because you don't know what to say. You don't know when to get out. And it's sad. Nancy Bosose, how are you? Because remember, when you are entering into a marriage, urikupinda muwanano yausingazivi kuti zvii zvinenge zvichiitika nemumwe wako. Kune chishona chedu chinoti rinonyenga, rinohwarara, rinosimudza musoro rawana. Unogona kushowewa nemunhu zvaasiri, muri musikana nemukomana, kana apinda otanga kushoma true colors because you've got love for yourself, and because you have applied because of the love that you've got for yourself, you are able to give him love, and you are able to submit, you are able to respect, you are able to be patient with him, with his faults. Vice versa, him as well is able to be patient with your faults. You are able to compromise with who he is. You are able to compromise with who she is. And communication will be easy. Communication will be easy. Vanhu vevakadzi vari mumarriage already, ndimbokupai one tip that I always give kuseri. Vanhu vevarume vanenge vana vadiki vanotekenyedzwa netunhu tusina kana nebasa rese, ini ndine musikanzwa. My husband is not way culture yangu, his bururu is not way culture yangu, but ndinoziva kunopressa mabutton. Varume ndati vana vadiki. Ukazvitanga uchiri kupinda marriage, especially vachiri kuda kupinda marriage, ukazvitanga uchiri kupinda marriage, unenge wamuwina. Rega ndikuudzei katipi kandaitaura nemumwe musikana some last month. Vanotekenyedzwa nezvinhu zvisina basa rese. dzidzira kuadresa mostly, not always. Mazuva ano tingori ana baby kune zvana bururu nesu zviya zvekuti handiserina kana kuti whatever, it's Selina. Sorry, it's Robert. Mazita, no problem. Kana kuti amai vanhingi baba vanhingi, no problem. What is comfortable? But dzimwe nguva dzidzira kungoti wangu wepano nekuti ndine musikanzwa wangu wepano akanzwa ndati kana ndichida chinhu kana kutaura naye, Soko, where are you? Ndakaita musikanzwa ndikatora mutupo wekwandanga ndakaroorwa ndikaupa vari panawo. Saka ndinovati Soko, where are you? Mwana wangu mukomana akambondinzwa akabvaruka nekuseka akati, Soko, vana mutupo? Ndikati havana. Iwo wandakajaira ndo wandichamupa. Soko, where are you? Saka because munhu akuziva kuti Soko chii, ndakamuexplainera, unonzwa achiti what is it that you want, Selina? Dzidzai kugara muchivapo zvatotanga. Kana weather yakadai, especially kana loan yagerwa, ndinotambura fana. Soko, ndange ndati regai ndikuudzai futi chimwe chinhu. Why when you come to me I'm able to speak with your men? Vazhinji that I've spoken to, muchiuya mese nemurume wako, those that I've spoken to can vouch. Ndinotanga kubvunza kuti mutupo womurume wako chii? Because when I speak to your husband, ndinomuadresa nemutupo wako. Most of them are like, hansana boshedzwa nemutupei. Zvinotondivhundutsa kana ndichinzwa imimi muchitondishedza. Chinhu chinovatekenyedza chekushedzwa nemutupo ichi. Chinhu chinovatekenyedza. Pane mumwe ndakatozopedzera ndakuseka naye ndichimuti, Yokozuna weZimbabwe, how are you? Ndichimuti, Samaita makadii? Akafara. Akati, anti, pamba pana handisana mboshedzwa kunzi Samaita. Handisati. Ndikati, neni ndiri Samaitawo. Nditori Samaita, saka muri hanzvadzi yangu imi. Therefore we were able to talk. And even later on, akatozouya ari ega, akataura, kutoita kutaura kwandiri kuti enda munondiudzirawo kuti mainhingi zviri kunetsa mba medu ndezvinhu zvakati zvikagoti. Pedhi chairo rinonetsa, anti havaswanisikana nepedhi, havabvise pedhi. Saka mutupo iwoyo kana muchida kuhwina varume venyu, unovatekenyedza zvokuti ukandiuyira neproblemu yako uinayo, kazhinji ndichida ndinokupira kutaura nevarume. It's fortunate, I've been very fortunate that most of the ladies that have come to me and I've felt kuti hazviite kuti nditaure newe pasina the other half. None, not even a single man has refused to speak to me. Not even a single man has refused to speak to me. Kachiki kaivepo kutekenyedzwa nekunzi samaita. Mofu, makadiko mofu. Soko, muriseiko. Dzidzirai kuadresa varume venyu. Zvinovatekenyedza fani nemitupo. Anonyevenuka. They melt, they become children, they melt when they are dressed. Nemutupo. For some reason, our African men, I mean, not when it comes to mutupo, chinovatekenyedza ipapa handizivi. But chinovatekenyedza. So those that are entering into marriage, a marriage, varimo kudhara makutotanga kudzidzira kuzviita, asi uchanzi zvaita sei uri kudei nekuti you are starting it off. Vari kupinda marriage icho tangai nekushandisa mutupo. Havanotekenyedzeka vanhu vevarume. For those that are joining us, our topic was marriage. We said marriage is a union. Marriage is a union between two people. And when two people get married, they become one. And they become one. Hold on. I've got a delivery. Hi.
Hello.
How are you?
Busy, thank you.
Busy.
One package for you.
Thank you. I think I will put it under there.
Okay, I can help you. 1 second.
Okay. Thank you so much. Sorry about that. I said those that are joining us, we were talking about marriage. We said marriage, it's a union. And I started off giving an illustration of my fingers. That's the man, that's the woman. Chili two. We are kubva kwake, and we become one. We become one. And I was saying kuti marriage in a constitution inayo inokwanisa kukubatsira, especially those that are already entering into a marriage. But first and foremost, before you enter into a marriage, you ought to work on your self-love. On your self-love. You ought to work on Selena. You ought to work on Betty. You ought to work on Natasha. You ought to work on Juliet. You ought to work on Yokozuna before you get into that union. If you work on your self-love before you get into that union, there are things that I said are a constitution of marriage, which is love, submission, respect, patience, compromise, and communication. And for those that were here, you saw me intertwining the six from the top to the bottom and vice versa from the bottom to the top. Anongopintana ari 6 kudai. And if you apply those in your marriage, it will be easy. I said if you have got love for yourself, you are able to love another. I used 2 glasses. One was empty, the other was empty. I said you lack self-love, which means your glass is empty. Are you able to pour into another glass? And we discovered you can't, because we did the practical of it. And then later I put on some liquid in one glass, which means it's representing you. Like so. I put some liquid in one glass, which is representing you. And I started pouring it into another. And that was possible. And prior to this illustration, we had done it empty. And we saw, Kuti, you can't pour love that you haven't got to another. You can only pour love that you have got to another. And you are able to exercise love to another. You are able to submit to another. you're able to respect another, you're able to be patient to another, you're able to compromise with your other, and you are able to communicate lastly. Haungotanga nekugona kucommunicate usingagone kucompromise, because kucompromise wabvuma mafaults ake ainawo kana kuti kumunzwira. Therefore communication is the last. But because we don't know the love, the submission, the respect, the patience, the compromise, all we know is communication, marriage, medinonetsa. And yet, above communication, there are things that you need to adhere to for you to be able to communicate. But all that goes back to the self-love that you have got, that you can pour into another. The self-love that you have got, that you pour into another. That is the topic that we were talking about today. And then we later on went to talk about varume. We also said kuti varume tirimbabvu yakabva pavarume. Mu creation chaiyo takabva pavarume. Whether we like it or not, whether tichiti kune Beijing, whatever the Beijing that you people talk about, tirimbabvu yakabva pavarume. That we can't run away from it. And the Bible, it says the man is the head of the house. It doesn't say heads of the house. It says head, which means one. A head is one. A head is one. Once two heads become sort of attached to each other, then we instantly know. Even co-joined twins, we instantly know there is something wrong because two heads have been joined together. Whether we like it or not, the man is the head of the house. Nikuti takabva pavari. Tataura kuti varume vane chimwe chinhu chinovatekenyedza, especially varume vedu vecho vanovatema. Kuva adresa nemutupo kunovatekenyedza zvekuti they become vana vadiki. They melt. You know, I'm going to be naughty. You know when you are doing your mujolo, you reach a point whereby you become very weak and you melt, and things can be done to you. That is meant for you when it comes to addressing them with mutupo. Vanolenga zvinovachikora zvinovanakidza zvekuti they become like vana chaivo kuvashandisira mutupo. I said when I speak to people background, those that have spoken to me, your husbands have ended up coming back to me, and I gave you an example. Yemwe akatozoya kuti inini andoziva kuti ndomuudza sei zvinhu zvikatoti Mary dzinoreva how are you mutupo. And I said, so many men, when I speak to them, I address them with mutupo. Yes, I'm saying men saying, it's at Saturday. At Saturday, people kana mutupo. Because if you want to weaken amen. Kanukaya kanonzi mutupo kanoshanda. But vachiri kupinda ibva imatanga nazvo. Varimo, I said kuti uchatanga uchinzi urikudei because hausati wambomushandisa. So that is what we are talking about. Marriage, union between two people. You ought to love yourself, either man or woman. You ought to have self-love for yourself because you are able to give another love. And when you give another love, you are able to submit to them because you love them. When you are able to submit to them because you love them, you are able to respect them. Because you are able to respect them with the submission that you will have given and the love that you will have been given to them, you are able to be patient with them. Because you are able to be patient because of the respect, the submission, and the love that you have for them, you are able to compromise. With kaitiro kawanema faults avo. Because you are able to compromise because of the patience, the respect, the submission that you've got, and the love, you are able to communicate. Last of all, you are able to communicate. Kuti mumwe paanenge achitaura, unomira umpa chance to explain themselves. That is what a marriage should be. Let them explain themselves, and calmly, in a calculated way. Soko, ndazvinzwa zvamataura. Chida pamwe pane zvandakaresva. Ndiri kuzvinzwa, asi inini ndandiri kutiwo, dai mari iyi, tadai o, zvichibva zvazoti, hamene kuti munozviona sei, ndo anga ari mafungiro angu iwayo. That is how you would communicate, because you've got the compromise, you've got the patience, you've got the respect, you've got the submission, and you've got the love. Anyway, let me take this opportunity to say thank you so much for listening to me, for giving me a listening ear. I'm sincerely hoping that zvichabatsira one or two people. One or two people. Varikubika mapoto regai nditi hamuzi marriage. So when you talk about being married, you are not married, you are cooking pots. Marriage, I say, it is a union between two people that will have been solemnized. Kubvisarora kwedu kurorwa. Wapinda muwanano marriage kubvisarora. Asi mukangouya mukagarisana sezviri kuita vanhu vakawanda muri tu. Vamwe havasi kutomboziva kana hama dzevarume havasati vatombosvika. Asi unonzwa munhu achiuya achiadhiresa kuti murume wangu. Wochibvunzisisa kuti makaroorana rini? Haupiwe mhinduro. Hama dzake unodziziva here? Haupiwe mhinduro. Vazhinji tiri kubika mapoto. Tiri kubika mapoto. Let me say this. Kubika mapoto. A lack of love for yourself. You're only in it because uruda kungonzi une murume chete. Tiri kubika mapoto vazhinji vedu. So let's not talk about marriages that are not there. As long as two people have not been united properly. Mukubika mapoto. So kana mchiya nenyaya dzenyu dzevarume venyuka, ibva mataura kuti isisi Mary auntie inini ndiri kubika mapoto. So that we are clear and we don't waste time on advising you on things zvinotoone musoro, iwe uri kubika mapoto ako. Ibva ungouya ubude pachena kuti ndiri kubika mapoto. So unless you are united properly, please note that you are cooking pots. And kunobika mapoto, you've got so much disrespect for yourself. So much. Muna anonobika mapoto ane disrespect for themselves. Havantoleka love. Because if you loved yourself, zvichitaurwa kunzi murume achabva kumba kwavo achino ningirigira kana kuti mukadzi achabva kumba kwavo uri kuleka love. Itori lack of love for yourself. Munhu ari kubika mapoto haana love for themselves. Ndini ndadaro. You know why I'm saying that? Unozvitukirwa mukubika mapoto imomo maakutukana. Unozvitukirwa zvekuti. Saka vakadzi ngatikoshesei murandakadzi social powers how are you? Ngatikoshesei tizive kuti there is nothing in cooking pots. You are disrespecting yourself, you are disrespecting your body, you are disrespecting your whole clan. Nekubika mapoto kwauri kuita. Disrespect. Therefore kana uchizvidisrespecta abuse, when abuse comes, you don't know where to cut off or you don't know how to get out of it. I will use an example. Yemukadzi akauya palive SIS MELLY that I watched yesterday. She said akatizwa nemurume. Ndakaipindira hangu papaya. Murume wake akangotiza here ari kuZimbabwe. Saka akasirwa, hanzi akasirwa, hanzi chimbadzo, akasirwa chimbadzo. And I'm like, when I'm listening to that story, murume akatiza ari kuZimbabwe, akamusiya akakira mwana, akasirwa chimbadzo. I started asking kuti murume wake here kana kuti ari kubika mapoto. So when SIS MELLY kept on interrogating, it turns out ari kubika ake mapoto. And because sorry caller, because caller lacked love for herself, antomirira chikwereti chechimbadzo chaasina kutora. Inini pandiri panapa murume atora chimbadzo ndikobhadhariswa chimbadzo chandisina kutora. It's that are some of the exhibits of lacking self love. Yekuti you take upon yourself zvikwereti zvake kuti zvinondongodi hangu ndochitongobhadhara chimbadzo chacho. Saka ukazonyatso that's abuse right there. She doesn't know where to cut off, therefore she comes and seeks help of abuse yakaitwa nemurumo. Saka let's learn, and I'm sincerely hoping that we find it in our hearts to learn to love ourselves before we go on to seek marriage. Because with finding someone, you are pouring your love into someone. And because you don't have the love for yourself, how can you pour it into another? It's impossible. Ndopa chirungu paya patinoti it can't. It can't. You can't pour what you don't have into another. You can't give what you don't have. You can't give what you don't have to another. If your love is upside down like this, it's empty right there. You can't pour it. You can't pour it. The only thing that you can pour is when you are standing upright. And you have got the love. Therefore, you are able to give it away. Ndinongokutendai nekuteerera kwamaita makusenano. Zita rangu ndinoitwa Auntie Selina. I said I've been absent for a while for a reason that number one, I'm physically exhausted in Inuashu. And then what if I'm physically exhausted? Ndinouya ndichihumana ipapa. Ndinoita kuhumana chaiko. Saka I tend to want to take time out. If you see me like this, and I also said what's going on around social media, it's forcing me to sort of distance and watch from a distance the backing that is going on. That is me. The name is Auntie Selina. I was your host, your presenter, and your facilitator today. I'm sincerely hoping that the program that we did will help someone, either one or two. If you joined us later on, please make sure you take the time to go back and listen to the live, or even share the live to other people, especially those that you know are wanting to get in a union. And before they do, if they see this, it will certainly help them. Take care. Have a very good Friday. Have a very good weekend. And I'm sincerely hoping that everyone finds it in their own heart to start to try and love themselves. Have a good weekend. Thank you.